Definitely showing my age here, but there once was a time, 2 decades ago, where games and distractions of YouTube and streaming were at best science fiction. And I'm talking hoverboards were still not in existence and were still more likely to happen. Back in the days where the Game Boy Color and swapping CDs in your portable player was the best form of entertainment when you were in between study hall and band class. Until somebody suggested playing Mafia, or Werewolf, depending on where you grew up. The game rules were simple to explain, but the game itself could get really crazy. One card represented different roles, one of them being the Mafia, or again, the Werewolf. The role that tried to murder all the other players. Your job as Mafia was to kill the sheriff, officer, detective, again, multiple names. This was a really hand-me-down kind of card game. It's so hand-me-down, you used actual cards and suits like you would use at poker. There were also roles like the medic who could save potential people from getting killed, citizens who just tried not to breathe the wrong way and thus become a target, and depending on how the house rules went, there were more roles into it. It really just came down to closing your eyes and having someone be the director and saying, Mafia, who do you kill? The doctor, who do you save? The citizens, good fucking luck. And if you died, you were also out of the game and couldn't tell the Mafia or the doctor or anybody what you were thinking or explain that you were dead. Again, unless there was a role that circumvented that rule. It was a deep game, and even today I think we'd have a lot of fun playing it as adults or even with a new generation of kids just because it's a game about deceit, critical thinking, and trying to think multiple steps ahead. Which is just critical thinking. Clearly, I can't do that. Now, as technology and gaming has become more of an accessible and online thing, we have things like Town of Salem, which is just the original Sus game, but in a chat room with a fun little avatars. Not much has changed, though a lot more roles have been actually created, tested, and documented. Like, one of the ways you can win the last time I played was to be a jester and to get them to kill you. This is a game where you're trying to find the right people, and someone is just sitting around or running around your little headspace screaming, "Look at me, I'm the killer!" One could argue this is the spiritual successor to the original game, and I'd have to wholeheartedly agree. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Thankful, because honestly this would be a really short video if I just said Town of Salem is the sequel to Mafia. No, today I want to talk about this mechanic of distrust, of suspicious behavior, and questioning everyone's motives, and how it's evolved even further down the road. My friends, let's talk about games like Among Us and Project Winter, and how they have been great evolutions of the suspect mechanic, or sus mechanic, which is how I'm going to be referring to this for the most part throughout the rest of the video. In Project Winter, the goal for most of the players is to survive. Have you ever played a survival game? Minecraft? The Forest? This stuff? Then you get the gist of it. You collect resources, cook food, and work on special goals to help you escape a harsh winter land. However, there's something odd about the encampment you've been stranded in. Maybe it's just the desperation kicking in to madness as the screen goes full white and you and all your allies are scattered across the map. Maybe there's something more sinister and cursed in these lands, toying with you, trying to bring you to the edge of sanity. Bunners!
Let's go.
Easter's getting creepy this year. Whatever the case, you're gonna use your proximity voice chat, long periods of group splitting up to collect and finish resources and tasks, and hopefully the madness of the land won't completely sabotage you long enough for the traitor or the suspect class to come and get you. No one knows who the traitors are, and the maps are large enough for you to basically kill someone by saying you're gonna go off and help gather some wood, maybe get some food so everybody can live, and then, oh no! We split off from the group, and I have no idea what happened! Wolves must have ate them! Ergo, this gives the traitors plenty of time to sabotage, trap, or just outright actively kill members of the group without anyone even knowing if done right. However, unlike the OG card games or even Salem, for the most part, the players all can protect themselves and kill the traitor. And when the traitor is found out and eliminated, the game's not over. The survivors still have to survive and escape the harsh land. And if you're a traitor and a ghost, or a survivor, you have the ability to harm or hinder ever so slightly. In the end, a traitor can potentially win even if they're dead by keeping the rest of the group from succeeding regardless of the end. One time, I was able to kill 2 of my friends by accidentally revealing myself and baiting them deep into the woods as I kept basically toying with them. They wanted to kill me. They wanted to kill me and end the threat, and they literally just could not catch me. So by the time they actually did, a snowstorm popped up and they died from the cold. Project Winter, again, can be as diverse or as simple as you want it to be, not unlike Salem or Mafia, as the multitude of different roles and abilities you can give yourself, or rather, put into play, can make the game more interesting. However, I have to admit, that is where some people might not like this game very much, because even if you do a good job of figuring out the traitors, it can be disheartening to still technically lose, because you guys can work very well together. But that's also why I like it a bit more than Among Us or even some of the games we've mentioned before. Proximity voice chat gives you this real sense of paranoia when you try calling out to people when you're lost or when you find yourself alone. Getting caught in a trap or attacked by the traitor has a panic desperation to scream at the top of your lungs and hope someone hears you in time. The more you put into this game, the more you're going to get back. And victory to me is not as much the goal as just the experience of the paranoia and the insanity. I'm trying to be fair when I say I do prefer this game, but the dedication and time investment you need, as well as a decent microphone and a special mindset to really enjoy it, I can understand why people might not be as interested, and why Among Us got way more popular. There's also no mobile mode, only PC, and if I ever did run into annoying players or trolls, I really didn't notice. When the goal is not to win, it's really hard for trolls to get under your skin. If someone's trying to prevent you from playing the game, that's still playing the game. If someone is annoying you and the rest of the group to a ridiculous point, you can all just kill them, and then you can't hear them anymore. You can solve the problem of a bad troll in this game. This is an evolution, showing that the sus concept at its core is workable into mixing and matching with other game concepts. You don't just have to redefine this one game, you can just mash stuff together and you could do a really good job with it. But sometimes, less is more. Among Us has a few concepts shared with Project Winter, and based on the release dates, the latter might have actually been more influenced by the other. Among Us, winning is a factor in the enjoyment of the game. Among Us gives you more busy work, just the necessary sort of tools to put you in a situation where you're going to be killed. Whereas with Project Winter, the tasks are essentially busy work, but because they are so detrimental to you surviving regardless of the traitor, they become their own little puzzles and fun things you can do. Plus, there is a little bit of juggling between what kind of puzzle you're going to get. Among Us, on the other hand, which is in part why I think it became so popular, is much more of this streamlined, stripped away, and refined version of these games. The tasks, the frequency of kills, even the manner of deposing of the imposter, again, the Mafia surrogate, is open to everyone, not just one role of power. The imposter has to deceive the group, but essentially has all of the power in the world and get someone alone and have their own alibi. I went in to take care of the lights, and I did take care of the lights, and that's when I saw Paper's body, and that's when I realized, oh fuck, Paper's dead. Versus in Mafia and Salem, where sure, everyone has the power to vote, but there's specific roles where you can completely bypass that system. No, not in this game. The killers have all the power in the world. There is very little equal footing. There is no detective, there is no way to protect yourself on your own power. You are at the mercy of getting killed or getting lucky enough to find a body and not get blamed for it. You have to use your detective skills and luck to win, and again, winning is the far more important objective. Among Us games generally last at most 30 minutes, so getting in and out of a session is swift either because the imposter is bad, or the group is completely overwhelmed by a good imposter. And I think that's why Among the Cute Little Jelly Beans, which I'm sure had nothing to do with this game's popularity, is so beloved. It's short, sweet, to the point, and really easy for people to just easily digest. And there is a mobile version of this game for free. However, that is where I'm a little less interested in the game. Playing with friends on Discord can be a blast because you're all able to get a more in-depth reaction with, talking with one another. However, online, there is far more of a chance for people to troll or mess with you because you're trying to win. For example, one time I was the imposter and got called out, not because I was sloppy, but because two brothers were playing the game together and the other one ratted me out. I was defeated because they cheated. And again, if Project Winter had happened and this same situation had occurred, I wouldn't have felt as bad because I could still run off and not get attacked by them. I could still try and cause some sabotage. I could still win, or just cause complete chaos and die with the rest of them. But in this game, not knowing who killed who is the entire concept of this sus game. Similar to Mafia, similar to the town of Salem. It's the same game, but instead of a forward evolution, it's more of a downgrade yet refined version of it. Now, I will say that adding proximity voice to this game would not solve anything. The maps are way too small. You could easily hear someone being cut off or scream as they die, and immediately find out who and where the imposter is. The risk factor is in the case of playing by agreed upon rules of silence or forced upon rules of it. So the more Salem chat board method and muting yourself is just the way to play this game. It just invites some public annoyances that even if you don't want to believe me about, you've seen enough parody material on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter to know that I'm actually pretty accurate on this. Still, I can see why this game got popular, even if I do prefer Project Winter. It was Among Us that finally pushed me to even make this video, so maybe that says a lot about it too. Also, my apologies, this was not meant to be a giant hand jerk to Project Winter. It is supposed to be a comparison, so as I'm going through the script and hearing myself back, I do want to talk about some of the good things there are. The simple design of the characters, while it is a ironic situation that a game that came out later actually got its own popularity from very similar Jelly Bean-like designs, are exceedingly cute. Without having any facial expressions or anything on them, it's so easy why so many people are able to make fan art or self-insert or just do these fun little things with these little characters. Also, they got the little babbies! They got the little babies! It's so cute. I'm actually crying a little bit. And oh, when you get to be the imposter, that is when the game is at its most fun. The ability to switch around to different rooms with vents, the ability to completely screw with the entire interworkings of the building, to make people go into a panic, to really plan out when the best time is to strike. I just don't get that much fun out of being the survivor. The tasks aren't that fun. You're just bait. You're just bait, as I've said before. And I get it, that's kind of the point of the game, it's kind of fun, but at least with Mafia and Salem, there's more roles, and there's sort of more of this secretive suspense thing going on. I don't know, it might just be how my brain works, that whenever I'm working on tasks, the suspense doesn't bother me as much when I'm playing solo. Again, when I'm playing with friends, I don't fucking trust anyone. So I hope I've been able to at least correct myself in giving the impression that I think Among Us is a bad game, or that it's not worth playing. I completely do understand why it's so popular, and it is a lot of fun. And it is a good evolution of the sus mechanic from Mafia and Town of Salem. So, what have we learned so far? From its origins, the sus style of game has evolved and combined with other kinds of genres, and been far more meticulously broken down into its most core elements. This genre of game can be built from the ground up with just slight variations of suspense and build-up, or be completely mapped with another kind of gameplay. And unfortunately, the other reason I wanted to make this video is because this might actually be me predicting that this kind of game is going to pop up a lot more often. There's always a handful of games that really start a trend, and then all gaming companies want to try and do the same thing. Sometimes we get some good stuff, more often we just get crap. The optimist in me, however, would at least like to put out into the universe some concepts that could just be fun and would be a great continued forward push for the sus mechanic. So here's the idea. So let's try and combine some elements of Among Us with its character design, maybe like using mannequins or silhouettes. Have the character designs be faceless but more human, allowing for some more creative outfits and designs, but not something so defined that people can't hype up the game with their own fan art. Now the other reason I'd vouch for this more human design is because I want the core concept to be a spy game. Something kind of like Hitman. essentially having a troop of spies or hitmen who each have specific abilities and goals to create, but they're all focused on one target. From there, we take the winter style of having certain maps having different objectives and team goals. Maybe one map is a straight up assassination while the other is a B&E. The group has to overall work together to go undetected during any of the missions. However, there is the Mafia surrogate, which we'll call the double agent. Their goal is to work with the other players to complete the mission up to a specific point. Maybe during the assassination mission, their goal is to actually protect the target, while also exposing the other agents, or even just helping the target escape and then themselves escaping before they get captured and killed by the players. For the B&E, it could be similar, where they have to get the other players deep into the facility and then get them caught, or they themselves steal the documents and treasure, but then have to escape everyone. The players, the guards, the traps, everyone. Now, the final bonus to this concept is that you could make either of the two variants we've talked about work with this playstyle. This will be the last time I repeat this, but hopefully you've all been paying attention. The biggest difference between these two games is the way they handle their tasks and the focus of the enjoyment. The tasks in Among Us are just busy work to put you in a situation, not a factor in the fun itself. So if you want something more inclined to give the traitor power, focus on shorter games that make the lead up to the target quicker, and then the escape point is where the game focuses it more on. If you want the longer variant, just do the opposite. Have the lead in and the discovery/acquisition of the map's target be the bulk of the game, and then the final execution of the kill or the escape being the last spot of it, giving a lot of time for people to work together and gain trust, only to twist the knife. Suspect games clearly have a lot that they can still do on their own if some schlubby jackass like me is just able to come up with something out of the blue, because I think both these games are neat. I just hope that if this mechanic is going to grow in popularity, that they do try to look deeper into it and really make a more interesting game with this concept. Consider subscribing for more little think pieces like this. Follow me on Twitch for some fun streams where I often get the footage for these videos, and Twitter, though I admit I mostly just repost other people's stuff, and I'm trying to currently do this daily weird thought challenge. I'm getting there. Just, at 3 in the morning. For now, I have been Basil Not the Herb, asking you all to continue to think tasty.